Hi, folks. Welcome to Booze with Nick. Thank you for joining me, Nick, for the semi-inaugural episode of this channel. What I mean is this is actually a rebranding of my previous channel, which was Whiskey and Watches with Nick. I found myself reviewing a lot more than just whiskey, but not so much with the watches. So I decided to refocus the channel more broadly on beer, wine, and of course, well, whiskey. Now, that said, we will still begin every episode with a wrist check because I do still love watches, even if I don't review them. I am wearing my Orient Mako 2. Needed something with a black dial because I'm doing a stout. Well, that sounded better before I said it. Anyway, tonight, well, it's about 8 p.m. here in Portland, Oregon. In this episode, we are reviewing Cavatica Stout from Fort George Brewery, which is one of my favorite of all of the fantastic Oregon breweries. It is one of my favorites, located in the coastal town of Astoria. For those of you who aren't from the U.S., I'm located in the northwestern part of the United States, and Astoria is a working maritime town on the mouth of the mighty Columbia River, a stone's throw, or actually on the Pacific Ocean. They opened up in 2007 or 8, produce a range of good beers, but they really excel at stouts. The Cavatica that we're looking at today is their regular stout offering. It's available year-round in pretty much all the grocery stores around here. I don't know what their distribution is like outside of the Oregon or Southwest Washington area. Maybe if I have some viewers from elsewhere in the States, they can chime in if Cavatica or Fort George's beers are available where you live. Anyways, they also do truly spectacular limited edition barrel-aged just masterpieces. That's really the only way to put it. That are available in 500 milliliter bottles, generally from the brewery. They have a fantastic pub, and of course they sell their own rare beers there. Wish I had one of those on hand to review. I had several in my beer cellar, which is a wooden rack in my garage downstairs. But hey, it does stay at an even 60 pretty much year round, so that's a cellar to me. Those cellared special bottles didn't make it through the holiday season. I'm not sorry to say. Moving on to the Cavatica itself, to look at my trusty tasting notes. No, that was not a plug for Huckberry. I'm just a fan. It weighs in at 8.8%. They don't call it an imperial stout. They call it a double American stout. And that's correct. It's not imperial. It does not have that level of body, or it just doesn't have an imperial mouthfeel. But this is definitely not like a 5% dry Irish stout. You know that as soon as you crack the can. You can smell it 10 inches away from your mouth or your nose or whatever you use to smell with. The color is just deep, inky black. After it warms up just a touch, it will actually pour out a little bit of a thin, fairly dense, pretty coffee brown head. Not much, just a little, maybe 1/4 of an inch on top of my little tasting glass here. It's nice. It's nice. You know, you don't always expect too much head from anything that's clocking in at, near 9%. So nice. The nose is completely dominated by roasty notes, as you'd expect. Here we have, of course, just roasted malt going on here. Little hint of something sweet like a molasses, or possibly even a little bit of a burnt sugar. And then I have some coffee notes on the nose as well. Again, nothing that you wouldn't expect from a 9% double American stout. Not an imperial. The roastiness continues through very assertively on the palate. Yeah, the coffee is still in there. A little bit of chocolate, but chocolate cross-referenced by something baked. Maybe a little chocolate cookie. Who doesn't like chocolate cookies? I actually prefer, snickerdoodles myself, but whatevs. The mouthfeel is medium. I mean, it's definitely not a light mouthfeel. Again, this is not a dry Irish stout. You're not going to confuse it with anything along those lines. But again, totally not an imperial. There is absolutely nothing thick about the body. It's just medium, pleasantly medium. Just enough to handle the maltiness, just enough to handle the hops that they put in to balance the maltiness. But not cloying, no syrupiness at all. Just a very clean mouthfeel that just really lets all the roasty notes dominate. The malt is almost there in a support role, which you would kind of, I guess, want, but not necessarily always expect from the bigger beers. So again, these guys might know what they're doing or something. I think that's really about what I have to say for the tasting notes. I did have the webpage for the beer pulled up because I wanted to point out that they are using Cascade malts. Excuse me. How much have I had? Cascade hops, and they have malted with two-row barley, Munich 20L, roast malt, and black barley. And they're using a London ESB yeast, which is interesting. I would love to sit down with the brewmaster and unpack some of their ingredient choices there. In particular, that yeast choice just kind of intrigues me. Maybe I have some home brewers watching. Maybe you have some insights on that yeast selection. I'm going to turn that screen off because it's making my glasses look like little flashlights. Anyways, folks, if you have made it this far, I sincerely appreciate you joining me, and I appreciate your attention. And I hope the review was, if not entertaining, at least helpful in helping you plan your all-important next beer purchase. Stay tuned. I'm just restarting the channel here after a 6-week, 2-month layoff, and I'm going to be covering some more fantastic beers from the Pacific Northwest, and I am going to be reviewing Ardbeg Ugadal here later on in the week after I work through some more tasting notes, because golly, it's kind of a big complex one. And we'll probably even be doing some fun white wines here in the next several weeks. Spoiler alert, but maybe something along the lines of like a Moselle Riesling or an Alsatian Gewürztraminer. If such things are interesting to you, stay tuned. In the meantime, drink well, live well, be well. Take care.